Hi, welcome to class. We're the only two right now, but the other ones will show up eventually, right? I hate my life. I hate my life.
And Professor Sunreis Productions!
Hello class, Professor Sunreis here. Albaz strike has dropped a few days ago, and because of it, the Dueling Book meta has switched up quite a bit. Even though it's feeling a little lackluster, I'm sure once people have solved the actual deck list and the best engine to play with it, it's going to be a meta contender for sure. And with an upcoming potential ban list, it's just looking very wild for Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. Thinking about it, I wonder how people react to the new ban list. Wow, the bans just dropped. I'm still going to complain about the meta, because I hate myself and deep down I'm projecting that hatred into things I love. Anyways, I've switched up the virtual, brave virtual list quite a bit. I was feeling unhappy with the needle fiber engine and with some of the ratios, so we're not only combating an unknown meta with this deck list, but also we're switching up the ratios and the actual playstyle of the deck a little, but more on that in the actual profile. So without further ado, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave feedback and ideas down in the comment section below, and so let's get right into the profile. So this is the 40 card virtual world list I've been using lately, and I've been going for great success, not into this meta like post Albaz strike, but also before Albaz strike I've been playing 40 and I've been loving it. I've been switching from the 42 list you've seen on this channel before, a 50 card list with maxed out virtual world names and maxed out brave names, and a 60 card list with like more hand traps and a small world in there. And I really dislike the 60 card variant. I drew a lot of choochers with it, which is like unlucky, but that happens. But most importantly, the small world is just not good enough in this deck. You lose way too much of the ceiling by pitching one hand trap, because it's usually like that extra disruption you have on the end board, which like seals the deal. With like Chucha Shanshan plus an Omni or Monster Negate, and then that one hand trip is like, okay, that's enough, I can't break that. And then you have enough to get into a grind game, and you have way higher like resource management and extra resources available to you than most of the meta decks right now. And the 50 card, it just didn't feel good enough, because a lot of the bricks aren't actually that bricky if you just draw names with them. And just playing 40 cards and drawing like Lulu the maximum amount of times just been working out the best for me, because Lulu makes like a Qinglong, not a brick, and actual just like an extender or starter, however you want to see that. So just playing the clean 40 felt like by far the best. And what clean 40 also does to us is being able to see droplet consistently. So we're building the whole deck around having the most consistent droplets possible. And just actually seeing that, which is like really huge into a meta where you don't know what you're expecting. There's going to be a lot of Despia or branded lists running around with like different side engines. You don't know what you're expecting, and Droplet is just overall like an insane card going second, and you are usually fine just drawing that, and you can play with that. And because, which is like a no-brainer, right? But in Virtual World, Droplet actually is not that insane, because like all of the names don't do anything in the grave basically. So I really try to build the deck around that, and that's been going great. Droplet is not as strong again in this deck as in like Phantom Knights, for example, but it's still doing its job more than fine, and it still always feels good to draw that. So let's get into the actual ratios for the virtual worlds. We are maxing out on every name. I've not been a fan for that. Holy shit, what is this Lily doing there? I've not been a fan of that in the past. But I finally come down to it, and it's just way too important to just see a name. These are 12 names, and there's still going to be times where you don't have a name, of course, but that's just bad luck. You just need one of them plus any other way to get a name on the field, and you are Waben, basically. Because the engine is so robust and it's so hard to hand trap it, even like a bad starter, for example, like let's say GG plus Lala, usually get you to something, and if you draw hand traps with that, you should be fine, because the engine is just, like I said, so recurable and has such an amazing grind game. And as long as you get to like one disruption with the engine, and you have like one Qinglong engrave or one GG add back and a way to play next turn, we are golden basically. For like extra names, we play one Nian, 3 Kowloon. I've really liked this at 3. Not only is it like a really good card going first to get your names on, and especially it's insane with Lulu, it's also a really good card going second. And it turns out, even like a hard draw Qinglong, it turns into a disruption going second, which is really good. So I've underestimated this card. I definitely would want to play it as 3, especially with like a maxed out name package and not the Hulk package. where this is actually just a good card to like a good name to get on the field to get together with like one of the starter names. To Chucha, we don't talk about this card. Sucks to draw, and I draw it way too many times. It's actually starting to tilt me a lot with this deck, but it is what it is. If people drew as many Chuchas as I draw, for example, like Dasher or Celestial, if people drew them as much as I drew Chucha, DP Engine wouldn't be in the meta. I'm swearing, guys, it's insane. I played a 60 card variant at the regional. 8 out of 11 games I played, I drew a Chucha. That's completely busted. But anyways, you need 2 for the engine to function, and like an honorary virtual world name, we have 3 E-Teller, which is like one of the best cards in the deck. It's a tuner or a non-tuner in Neon, which is like really good. So we actually play 4 copies of that, which is really good. Speaking about Neon, Kowloon is also really good to give you actual Neon access, which makes it way nicer for Chuchu to be alive, way easier, and also gives you like an extra level 3 to extend with. So that's it for the virtual world package. Just the maxed out variant feels way better to get into the place compared to the needle fiber package, mostly because you definitely need to see one name, and we are just playing more names. So even if you go for needle fiber, you still kind of want to see a name with that. So we just cut that. We have more extra deck space. We have less bricks in the main deck, and the bricks we have are less bricky because of more Ludo X's. For the Brave stuff, like I said, we are playing a droplet oriented deck. So we're maxing out on the Enchantress, and we're only playing 1 ride. With 42, I really like the 4 starter ratio, or maybe it was 5 with a Foolish. But I feel like 4 is way more than enough. Together with 1 Faithful, we have like 5 starters to actually get us into something, and them being like very, very good extenders. Because it's so accessible by Beatrice, of course. And we don't want to break on it because we have a very hard time to utilize any extra copies of that. And with this ratio, we have the least chance to brick on them because 2 Enchantress is like still full engine plus like a level 3 extender, which we can sometimes use if we have like virtual world plays with that. But a hand like that, like where you have 2 of these and you still need 2 virtual worlds to actually play. So it's kind of unlikely, so we don't want that to happen. And we just played this ratio because this is the best card to send off Droplet, because it's a monster which can just activate its effect in the graveyard and it's still fine. And I definitely want that to do because Droplet is a little worse in this deck. While we do lose the extra power of having just a hard draw right, which is just so much better than the Enchantress, because it doesn't play into Lancia Droll. I felt like the Droplet is more important. And we, of course, can always recycle right out of the graveyard, so we can still grind with it. We, of course, play the Griffin and the Dracoback with it. Would never cut these, even though Dracoback is a big, it's a 3+1 in a deck which uses 2 discards in the combo. It's way too important. Speaking about the utility, of course, it's like still insane utility. You definitely want that. For the defensive parts, like I said, we are playing Droplets, insane card, especially into an unknown meta, because we don't know 100% what we're expecting. 3 Ash, also really good into an unknown meta. Just going like a decent 1-for-1 trade into your tempo advantage is more than enough to get us there. 2 Ghost Bell, really good against Branded. I really expected a lot of it, and it's also really good against everything else before that. Prank Hits is probably the most represented deck and the best deck in the format, like before Albaz hit, of course. So 2 Ghost Bell is really good against that as well. It's good against Brave. It's good against a lot of engines, so it's a fine card. 1 Ogre. Was not too sure about that, but after testing a little bit in the format, people are not too highly on the Despia branded stuff. So Ogre is not completely dead. Brave is still everywhere, of course, so the 1 of Ogre is really fine, as I just wanted it for an E-Tele target. And lastly, I'm playing 1 Talents, because I don't know what to play else. I could play an Upstart, thinking about it, but we definitely want more defensive cards, and Talents is super strong going second, while it's not really good for the deck virtual world, because the defensive cards are usually what keep us in the game if we brick. Talents does nothing if we brick. It's really good into the meta right now because people are on a lot of hand traps, of course. But this could be like everything, and once the meta shapes up and you can play like a more specific hand trap lineup or defensive card lineup, I'm definitely gonna take it out, I think. Just because it doesn't have that much synergy with the deck. For the extra deck, we have 1 Beatrice, of course, to send Enchantress. one Yazi to turn a Brave token into actual disruption, and then even into a virtual, because this can of course summon Gigi and Lily, or Lily out of the deck. One Baroness to turn a disrupted Brave engine into an Omni Negate. One Chenging to turn a disrupted Brave engine into a banish in the opponent's turn, if they are playing a deck which banishes, or if we know they don't have a nib and we can go into this, or we're in a grind game and we want another Synchro 10, which definitely didn't come up for me too much yet, but once early on, and a lot of times when I played the deck, I really wanted another Synchro 10, and this is basically the only good one, and it's really good in our turn. And with Dragoon being in the meta, thanks to Branded, and us having a quite hard time with it, just summoning a Changing, running over it, or because I think it's a non-targeting banish, right? Yes, it's a non-targeting banish, so that's actually probably our second cleanest, or maybe even cleanest out for Dragoon. So these are for the Brave engine. For the Virtual World engine in the extra deck, we have the Juju. Of course, like a really good toolbox card. And also really good against Eldritch and like any like back row deck. One Fan. I don't know how I didn't play with this card. It's completely insane. Against everything but one Sunreis, you make this once per match, just because it cleans out the DPE package so well. Most of the time, especially game 1, DPE will stick on the field because people are playing around the dark. And then you can just fan their DPE and the Dasher and their Grave, banish them, and then you don't have anything left. And then we overlay for Gaia Charge and Zeus, and we still have Disruption, which is like really good. We only have access to this card and space for this card in the extra deck thanks to cutting the Needle Fiber combo. And I feel like I didn't really lose any consistency with that, cutting that. So it just overall feels like a really insane upgrade, and I don't know how I didn't play that before. One Coral, one Charge, 3+1s are really good. Especially because, like I said before, the deck really thins itself out because every Virtual World name basically gets 1 or 2 cards out of the deck. The Brave engine gets like 3 cards out of the deck, or 4. So the deck is going to be thinned out quite well. So a lot of times you will just hard draw another name, which leads for extension or follow-up, or just in hand trap to have more disruption against the opponent. One Shenchen, like the boss monster, the mommy, we love her. I ordered an American version, but it didn't come as American, so I'm pretty sad. Still definitely want one of it. That's for like the Virtual Worlds, I guess. Crystal Wing package. Definitely haven't used this package correctly a lot of times. I noticed if I have a way to get a Virtual World on the field and 2 Virtual Worlds and Brave, a lot of times I still just started with Brave because it just felt right, but a lot of times you can make this super early on in the combo. And then use this to protect the Brave combo, and then you have like Crystal Wing Brave, and even if you play like a dumped down Virtual World engine with that, you play super well into hand traps with that, and end on like a Monster Negate, Omni Negate, and maybe like Chucha plus the follow-up, which is like super fine, and plays around like double hand trap lineups so hard. So definitely check out the replays and think about if you can make this card super early on before you even commit to the Brave plays, because especially with the Synchro 10s, you definitely have to evaluate the Brave engine differently than in a lot of other decks. It's not always the right play to just shotgun the Brave engine. Most of the times it's just Brave first, then Virtual World, but it's actually not always the case. So definitely check your replays, guys, and see if you could have done anything differently. And lastly, for the XZs, let's clear this out here. One Break Sword, still love this card. Just a nice toolbox card. M7, also an insane toolbox card, and in a pinch, this is a Synchro 6, which gets us disruption on the field. One Gaia Charge, it's been coming up a lot, and one Zeus finally, which also has been coming up a lot, especially with the Gaia Charge. Having the double Zeus wipe is crucial. And lastly, for the side deck, I've been expecting more Eldritch, especially Eldritch Despia, so I decided to put in 1 Pancratops into the side deck and the 3 Lightning Storms. They usually go out for the Talons or Ogre, depending on the exact matchup. And then the 3 Droplets, we just side out these and put in this. And Pancratops also really good because we're playing 40, we can actually see it, and most importantly, it's level 7, which can sometimes come up. And it's a super generic card into a meta where you don't know what you're expecting. You can basically almost always side this in going second, and you have a very good card. For going first, of course, Droplets come out, and we just side in these. anti-spell called. I've been really liking these 3 cards for going first. They have been overperforming so hard. And then for hand traps, which we want to swap out the Ash, Ghost Spell, stuff like that, play 3 Nib, 3 Draw, 1 Ghost Spell, and 1 Token Collector, which is of course sendable by the Beatrice. I've been really liking 3 Draw in the side deck. Nib is still probably the best hand trap in the meta right now, just because Despia is not too much there. But I don't feel comfortable with it, because even the decks where Nib is insane against, for example, Prank Kids, a lot of times if they don't open a Prank, they will not play into a Nib and just play Brave DPE control. And then you have like a dead hand trap. And without the Needle Fiber combo, Nib is just a body on the field. We have no use of it, so it doesn't have that much synergy. So I just put it in the side deck, and it's been working out well enough for me. So I definitely don't regret that. So that's been it for the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Class is out. You guys are dismissed. Professor Sunreis out. Peace.